before I get into the conversation, we'll have a very quick overview of what exactly a lawyer does 24/7, 365. So, Lawyer Evans, please tell our participants in 60 seconds what exactly you do and how best you help people when it comes to anything and everything real estate.
When it comes to what a lawyer does, it's varied and it depends on what the instructions are. But the principal purpose of any lawyer that's a decent lawyer is to look out for your best interests. That's rule number one. If any lawyer doesn't protect, look after, or represent your best interest, my advice is to get rid of that lawyer. Every single lawyer that you have is meant to look after you and make sure that whatever you do is in your best interest. And that interest should not be compromised by his own external activities or interests. His integrity needs to be as high, and that lawyer needs to be focused on looking after his individual client. So when it comes to real estate, for example, the lawyer, for example, should not be selecting a plot of land that he's getting a backhand from because he thinks it's something profitable for himself. What the lawyer should be looking for is that property or that land legitimately sold to you as an individual, or if that land is really right, or the person selling is the rightful owner.
Excellent, thank you. And so we're going to get into the conversation. We'd like to first focus on how you can avoid disputes and litigation when it comes to real estate in Ghana, because I believe it's a very important topic, and a lot of people who end up cutting corners end up finding themselves in court with no guarantee they'll win their cases. And so, our dear lawyer, let's walk through the common pitfalls that people make when they are purchasing real estate and how they can avoid all these litigation issues.
I don't think there's any one particular pitfall. I can give you some examples that I've seen and some personal experiences. It's quite funny that when you purchase land or you buy a house, that's probably one of the biggest investments you'll ever make in your life, apart from probably getting married or something like that. But the reality is that if you're making one of the biggest investments in your life, it strikes me as really surprising that you as an individual will not seek advice about one of the biggest purchases that you're doing. Some people think it's easy, that they see a sign on the wall when you're driving around the capital or anywhere in Ghana, and you see a big sign saying land for sale, and then you call that number and you think the land that you're buying is a legitimate type of land, and it may well be a legitimate type of land. But I think one of the biggest pitfalls is people want to try to cut corners, purchase a land without seeking legal advice or any sensible advice.
All right, so now you spoke about how people end up in these situations. So how do people end up avoiding these situations? What do they have to do right? It's one thing to contact a lawyer, but what should they know so that when it comes to contacting a lawyer, they can be more confident? I think a lot of people, the reason why they also sideline lawyers is the fact that there's a cost to it. So it'll be good to highlight the reason why that cost should not be the focus, but the quality of service and helping them avoid these litigation issues should be the focus.
I'm going to steal a quote from, I think, Justice Apong, who came here before. Sometimes if you buy bad land, you're not buying land, you're buying litigation. And that's the reality. If you want to have a court case, buy rotten land, if you like going to court. But if you want to buy decent land that's peaceful and focused, then just find something like a lawyer who will be able to guide and protect you. Now, what that lawyer ought to be doing, or what you should be doing, is finding out who really is that genuine owner. I've seen time and time again, when you buy land, let's say you buy land from person A and you start building, and then person B turns up and says, no, person A is not the person who you should have bought the land from. And then you settle person A and person B, and then all of a sudden person C turns up, and then person C is then arguing about how person A and person B don't own the land, and then all of a sudden you get person D. It's that long chain. You can stop at person A if you just simply do the necessary checks. Like, for example, a basic land search will find and verify who person A is. Person A should be the legitimate person as to who owns that particular land. Once, what else you can do? You can speak to people within the local area and find out who is the person who really owns this land. And one trick I've learned as I've been working in this particular area is that when you purchase a land, after you've done the necessary searches and all the necessary checks, and you start building your wall, wait and breathe and see who turns up. If somebody turns up, then you know that something's up. If nobody doesn't turn up, you know you're good to go. But don't try and think you can just purchase this without having any form of headache if you don't do the right checks. I'm not being funny. I'm looking at everybody in this room today. Everybody looks nice and pretty, well dressed and well groomed. It means you must have checked how you looked when you walked outside or before you walked outside. I can't see why you don't take the same process with your land purchases. Check it before you buy it or before you enter into it.
Excellent. Thank you. Very good advice for our participants this afternoon. Now let's move on to talk about land registration and title security, because that's also where a lot of problems begin from. Now, let's assume I'm a first-time home buyer. What do I have to know about the land registration process in Ghana?
One thing that I've learned and people have learned around me is the painful process of not having registration done completely in the correct way. Normally, when you buy a land, people think you buy the land with your physical cash and you get a receipt and that's it. Buying land is not like buying tomatoes. It just doesn't work like that. You need to follow through with real proper procedures. Ordinarily, the landowner would be able to give you what they call an indenture. Now, the indenture would have the recognition and the type of land that you're having. Also, within the indenture, it gives you the site plan. So it shows you the exact location as to what you're purchasing from. That documentation is usually taken across to the Land Commission in order for them to register that. Once that registration is taking place, then you have something called a land certificate. One thing you should look at and make sure you don't make a mistake on is that the site plan and the land certificate marry up so that there's no confusion between the land that you bought or the land that you think that you were sold and the certificate that you were issued with. Those key documents will help you guarantee, or at least give you a level of comfort than an ordinary receipt that you would get from a land purchase.
Excellent. Thank you. So this brings me to my final question, and then we get ready. If you have any questions, please note them down. We'll allow for 3 Q&A sessions, and then we can move on. All right. So, lawyer, let's wrap up. Now, we have people in the diaspora looking to invest in the Ghana real estate market. What sort of leasehold, title, number of years exists for people like that? And what do people have to do to be able to acquire title when it comes to real estate in Ghana?
I think there's this really sad misconception that if you're from the diaspora, you can own freehold, and there's quite restrictions on that. The leaseholds, people need to be aware and alive of the leaseholds that you're acquiring. I think a lot of them is like 99 years, but the person selling it to you may have had it for 98 years, giving you a year or 2 more years left. That's quite risky. I think before you buy it, check how much or how long is left on the on the lease. And then you'll be sure about how long you've got, and make sure there's a nice renewal clause and the conditions of the renewal clauses on the lease. But my biggest advice from people in the diaspora is this. Don't look at land like it's some remote control. If you understand how a remote control works, or a remote control toy, if you used to have toys when you were younger, once you have a remote control toy and it goes too far, you lose the signal and it doesn't work anymore. Okay, look at land in the same type of way. If you're abroad, how are you going to control what you're buying on the ground? If you think, oh, my brother or my sister will help you out, maybe you might have a good set of family. It can be done. But just be wise if you're in the diaspora. Try to find a proper timetable that when you're ready to really physically relocate or build this, that you have time to watch what you're doing and watch your project, because you will get burnt. I remember a horrible story. One of the saddest stories I've seen so far since I've been working. This man, and everybody who lived in the diaspora knows, they work quite hard. People work for their money. Day in, day out. Some people do night cleaning, double jobs, double shifts, because they're planning for their future, which is the right thing to do. This man sent money over to his family over the last 15 years. They were sending him the nicest pictures in the world. How the garage looked, how the garden looked, how everything looked in and out. It was such a beautiful sight for his eyes. This man had not traveled to the country for 10 years. After the 11th year, when he decided to finally retire, and he came to see the little shed that was left for his efforts over 10 years, it was probably one of the most heartbreaking situations you can ever see, because he had trusted the people who he believed were looking out for his interests. So and I urge everybody in the diaspora, be wise. Those days of allowing people to try to sideline your family members or friends or whatever it is, just be a bit more wiser. Anna and Vicky, to be fair to them, they've given you this platform. There are respectable developers here. There are respectable property developers who have a global recognition and reputation. These people are not, I would say, or describe as corner developers. They are well reputable individuals. I'm not going to mention any names because they may think I'm being favorite or giving favoritisms. But in this room, behind that screen there are reputable developers. When you're in a platform like this, that the Ghana Expo provides you, you know you're in a safe location, that anything that you buy here, okay, it's going to have less, I'm not going to say anything's guaranteed, and nobody can make me do that, but you're going to have less stress on your head when you're buying from people like the individuals who are showcasing here today. They are reputable individuals. It's the best way to start your land or your property acquisition process. So I'm begging all the people in the diaspora, enough is enough. I think we all need to kind of collectively come together and guide each other. And this platform here, I'm telling you, this is one of the fewest platforms you'll get where your investments will be secure, because the ladies involved, Anna and Vicky, have done their due diligence on every single person who comes on this platform, who enters that room, and they're not going to rip you off or bump you out.
Excellent. Thank you. Put your hands together for our lawyer. And so we'll allow for 2 questions and then we can move on to the next session. And so I'm coming down. If you have any question, just give me a wave. You mention your name and then you can ask our lawyer the questions. Please ask, because if you don't ask today, if you have to see him after this expo, it comes at a charge. All right. So if I were you, I'll ask my questions now. Any questions? 2 questions and we move on. 2 questions. When it comes to legal, there are always questions. I will not believe that there are no questions today. Any questions for our lawyer before we move on?
Don't be scared. I won't charge you.
It's free today and tomorrow. Any questions for our lawyer? All right. In the absence of any questions, our lawyer will rise up. I will join him. As tradition demands, we'll take a group picture. Oh, there's a question here. You saved the day. Okay. So your name and then your question.
Thank you very much. That is my name. And lawyer, I understand you live in London. So how can I consult you after this event? Thank you very much.
So, what's your name, sir?
Labi.
Labi.
Labi. L-A-R-B-I.
Labi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Is it because of my accent that you think I live in London? Is my accent the trick? I've been very fortunate in life, sir, to be able to qualify both in the UK and qualify in Ghana. So if you're talking about any legal issues, in particular, real estate issues, you can locate me. There's a law firm at the moment where I'm at called SK Boafo. I have a group of them here today. You can contact any one of them if you need any assistance, if I'm in my absence, but I'm normally around to do any work that you need to do. So does that help? Eddie, there's a question at the back.
Any other questions?
One at the back.
Don't let the accent confuse you. He's from Kumasi.
I'm really curious to see the lawyer's approach to different regions within Ghana. Like, for example, I'm from Canada, so we're neighbors, and I'm here for the first time. And I just really want to get your knowledge on if you're buying from a region in the mountains versus in the city. Like, what are there any specific legalities and the differences,
That's a good question. Did you say it's your first time in Ghana?
It's your first time in Ghana? Oh, I think we can give him a round of applause. Round of applause. These are the stories we love to hear. Lawyer, over to you.
There's a lady you're going to hear from, okay? And I'm going to do what she did to me in London. Her name is called Eddie Acquah Johnson. This lady is, I'll describe as a real angel for what's happening here today. This lady is probably globally recognized for what she does, and she doesn't really have to be here at all in Ghana, promoting Ghana or do anything attached to Ghana at all. But what she's done, she's been able to highlight the bridge between people from your jurisdiction, because you said Canada and I'm in the UK and we say we're neighbors. We're far neighbors. That's a big ocean between us two. But I think the history is the neighborhood. But what AJ has done, and I think what you're doing, is the ripple effect, which is to explore the continent. And focusing back on your question, what you'll find is that there should be a blanket process about land registration, no doubt. But what you'll find, for example, there's a place called the Ashanti region, where the Otumfo, His Royal Majesty Osei II, he's obviously the general overlord of the area. And you'll find perhaps less disputes because of how he handles his land issues. In Accra, you may well find somewhat of more sensitive approaches as to how land is acquired. But all I would say to you is this. Look what AJ has done. She's taken that bold step to promote the two jurisdictions, to make people like you enter here for the first time, and it works. So all I would advise you to do is just be a bit more wise. Don't rush. Take your time. Be focused in what you do. But more, above all, just be sensible. And don't try to think you're buying some fufu or some banku on the streets where you can just think you can eat and go. It doesn't work like that. It's land that you're buying. And from your jurisdiction, you know yourself that when you buy land, you tend to get advice from that. Legal advice. Don't think because you're in a new jurisdiction, you can sidestep that. That doesn't make no sense. So adopt what you know and apply it in that same way. I hope that answers your question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other questions or else we move on?